Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we are going to start Unit 5, Equality. And first of all, let us introduce the chapter. Of all the basic concepts of social, economic, moral, and political philosophy, none is more confusing and baffling than the concept of equality, because it figures in all other concepts like justice, liberty, rights, property, etc. During the last 2000 years, many dimensions of equality have been elaborated by Greeks, Stoics, Christian fathers who separately and collectively stressed on its one or the other aspect. Under the impact of liberalism and Marxism, equality acquired an altogether different connotation. Contemporary social movements like feminism, environmentalism are trying to give a new meaning to this concept. Basically, equality is a value and a principle essentially modern and progressive. Though the debate about equality has been going on for centuries, the special feature of modern societies is that we no longer take inequality for granted or something natural. Equality is also used as a measure of what is modern, and the whole process of modernization in the form of political egalitarianism. Modern politics and modern political institutions are constantly subjected to social pressures to expand opportunities equally, irrespective of ethnicity, sexual identity, or age. Equality is a modern value in the sense that universalistic citizenship has become a central feature of all political ideologies in modern industrial democracies. Again, equality can also be taken as a criteria for radical social change. It is related to the development of democratic politics. Modern societies are committed to the principle of equality, and they no longer require inequality as automatically justifiable. The principle of equality renunciated by the American and French revolutions has become the central plank of all modern forms of social change and the social movements for the reorganization of societies. Now let us move to the next point, equality versus inequality. Before we discuss the meaning of equality, we must understand that the equality is a relative concept. The demand for equality has always been against the prevailing inequalities of the time. The existence of social inequalities is probably as old as human society, and the debate about the nature and cause of inequalities is an ancient topic of political philosophy. In classical Greece, Aristotle, in his book Politics, distinguished three social classes and noted the significant difference between citizens and slaves, men and women, in terms of rational and civic capacities. Participation in the police was restricted to the citizens only. Similarly, in our Hindu society, according to the classical text, the society was divided into four varnas or categories: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras. All rights and duties were based upon this classification. During medieval feudalism, legal privileges were based upon status and birth. In short, different types of inequalities have been long enduring, giving rise to the notion that inequality is inevitable in social relations. In fact, the pre 18th century teachings argued that the men were naturally unequal and that there was a natural human hierarchy. Different ideologies justified inequality on ground of superior race, ancestry, age, sex, religion, military strength, culture, wealth, knowledge, etc. According to Turner, inequality is multidimensional and the elimination of one aspect of inequality often leads to the exaggeration of other aspects of social, political, and cultural inequalities. In fact, all human societies are characterized by some form of social inequalities in terms of class, status, power, and gender. While studying the concept of equality, the contradiction between equality as a general value of a modern society and inequality at a practical level as a fact of all human societies must be kept in mind. Now let us move to the next point, the struggle for inequality. Struggle for equality. If inequality has been a universal phenomena, protest against the inequalities based upon the privileges and birth had also been voiced right from their emergence. Thus, in the history of Western political ideas, the doctrine of equality is practically as old as its opposite. For example, the most prominent star in the Greek philosophy was Zeno, who founded the Stoic school and supported equality among men. The Stoics concluded that all human beings possess reason and thereby all mankind is differentiated from other animals and is united. Humanity does not admit of degree. As such, all men are equal as men. The Stoic philosophers gave the idea of universal brotherhood and they were opposed to slavery. The promulgation of law of the people by the Roman Empire was another way in which the Romans attempted to give effect to the principle that all men are equal, and as an extension of that, they conferred citizenship both on the individuals and entire communities. The climax was reached in 212 AD when a notable edict of Emperor Caracalla conferred citizenship of Rome upon all free inhabitants of the empire. Similarly, St. Paul said to Galatians, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male or female, for years are one in Jesus Christ. From the 5th to the 14th century, the demand for equality was a cry against serfdom. Medieval gradation or rank and hereditary nobility and the equality for career opportunities in the church. From the 15th to the 17th century, the cry for equality was against the landowners' status and religious intolerance and was raised by Puritians, Levelers, doctrine of natural rights, and John Locke. Simultaneously, the movement of Renaissance and Reformation raised a powerful voice against illegal privileges of the clergy and nobility based upon birth and demanded equality by birth. The affirmation that all men are born equal was to figure in the manifestos all over the world. The revolution in Britain in 1649 and 1688, in the USA in 1778, and in France 1789 made right to equality by birth as their central plank. Men are born free and equal, they are free and equal in their rights. During this phase, the demand for equality coincided with the abolition of special privileges of the nobility and the achievement of political and legal equality with the nobility. It means only jurist equally, that is, all men are born equal and they are equal before law. Whether it was Britain, France, or America, the issue at stake was equality in the form of uniformity of legal rights. As stated earlier, since the demand for equality was primarily raised by the rising bourgeois class, which had acquired wealth but lacked legal status and which was anxious to achieve political and legal equality with the nobility. The demand for legal equality served the purpose well. The economic and social dimensions of equality emerged during the 19th century and was the result of conflict and struggles between the capitalist or industrialist class on one hand and workers and peasants on the other. The laissez-faire policy of the state in the economic affairs created wide economic disparities in the society. As a result, along with legal equality, demand for economic and social equality was raised by liberal sociologists and Marxist writers alike, such as J.S. Mill, T.H. Green, Babeuf, Karl Marx, etc. Simultaneously, the demand for political equality also grew stronger. The movement to broaden the franchise was an offshoot of the Industrial Revolution, which increased the social power of the urban middle class and converted a large section of population into factory workers. The Reforms Act of 1832, 1876, and 1884 in the Britain were steps towards political equality. In the 20th century, the demand for the equality became more persistent. Today, it has become the sine qua non for the socio-economic mobility typical of the highly industrialist society. The national liberation movement against imperialism and colonialism, movements against apartheid, socialist revolution in Russia, China, and East European countries brought the issue of equality to the forefront. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 extended the recognition of equality which had hitherto been accepted as the aim of all strata of industrialized countries to the people of the third world countries who had been discriminated, thus contributing to the eventual emergence of an international society based upon the socio-economic equality. Here we want to wind up today's lecture. Thank you so much for your attention.